My name is Bobby Chun, and I'm 70 years old, sitting here alone in my Honolulu apartment, looking at old photos of my daughter Lisa and my two grandchildren. Pictures that represent the only connection I have left to a family that was stolen from me when my son-in-law Marcus gave Lisa an ultimatum that forced her to choose between maintaining a relationship with her father or keeping her marriage and financial security intact. 8 months ago, Marcus told Lisa that he would divorce her and fight for custody of their children if she continued to have any contact with me. And despite 28 years of being a loving, supportive father, Lisa chose her controlling husband over the man who raised her with nothing but devotion and sacrifice. I'd love to know where you're listening from today, so please share your location in the comments below. And if this story resonates with you, I hope you'll consider subscribing, because what happened to me shows how controlling spouses can use children and financial dependency as weapons to isolate their partners from family members who represent independence and outside support. Let me start by telling you about the daughter I raised and the relationship we shared before Marcus entered our lives and systematically destroyed the bond between a father and his child. Lisa was born in 1995, when my late wife Maylin and I had been married for 12 years and had finally achieved our dream of starting a family after years of struggling with infertility and the financial challenges of medical treatments. Maylin and I were both first-generation immigrants from Taiwan who had come to Hawaii in the 1980s with nothing but determination to build better lives for ourselves and our future family. We worked multiple jobs, saved every penny, and slowly built a small but successful restaurant business that allowed us to provide Lisa with opportunities we never had as children. Lisa grew up bilingual and bicultural, equally comfortable with American customs and Taiwanese traditions, and we made sure she understood the importance of family loyalty, respect for elders, and the sacrifices that previous generations had made to give her the freedom to pursue her dreams in America. Maylin and I were incredibly proud of Lisa's achievements throughout her childhood and adolescence. She was an excellent student, a talented violinist, and a compassionate young woman who seemed to embody the best values from both of her cultural backgrounds. She was accepted to University of Hawaii, where she studied business administration and graduated with honors. After Maylin died from complications related to breast cancer 6 years ago, Lisa became even more important to me as my primary source of family connection and emotional support. She would visit regularly, help me manage the restaurant business, and ensure that I wasn't becoming isolated or depressed in my widowhood. Lisa met Marcus Rodriguez during her final year of college, and initially, I was pleased that she had found someone who seemed to make her happy and who appeared to share her ambitions for professional success and family stability. Marcus was studying law and seemed intelligent, confident, and devoted to Lisa's well-being and happiness. But from the very beginning, there were subtle signs that Marcus had controlling tendencies and that he viewed Lisa's close relationship with me as a threat to his authority and influence over her decisions. He would make small comments about how much time Lisa spent with me and would suggest that she was too dependent on her father's guidance and support. Marcus would frequently interrupt our conversations or activities together, claiming that he needed Lisa's attention for urgent matters or that they had previously scheduled activities that conflicted with our plans. He seemed determined to ensure that Lisa's time and attention were primarily focused on him rather than on maintaining family relationships. I also noticed that Marcus would become visibly uncomfortable when Lisa and I spoke in Mandarin or when we discussed Taiwanese cultural traditions and family history. He seemed to view these conversations as exclusionary and would make comments about the importance of assimilating to American culture rather than maintaining foreign customs. When Lisa and Marcus became engaged in 2018, I was hopeful that marriage would bring stability to their relationship and that Marcus would become more comfortable with his role in our family structure. I offered to help with wedding expenses and volunteered to play a significant role in the ceremony and celebration. But Marcus made it clear that he wanted a small, intimate wedding that would not include extended family or elaborate cultural traditions. He seemed determined to minimize my involvement in the ceremony and to establish his marriage as separate from and independent of Lisa's family connections. The wedding was indeed small and relatively impersonal, held at a resort hotel with minimal family participation and no acknowledgement of the cultural traditions that had been important to Maylin and me throughout Lisa's childhood. I felt like I was attending the wedding of strangers rather than celebrating my daughter's marriage. After the wedding, Marcus and Lisa moved into a house that was a significant distance from my apartment and a restaurant, making spontaneous visits difficult and requiring advanced planning for family gatherings. This geographic separation seemed intentional and designed to reduce the frequency of contact between Lisa and me. Marcus also began to assert more control over Lisa's career and financial decisions, encouraging her to leave the family restaurant business and pursue opportunities that would make her financially independent of any inheritance or business connection to me. He seemed determined to ensure that Lisa's financial security would depend entirely on their marriage rather than on family resources. I tried to maintain my relationship with Lisa despite these challenges, but Marcus made it increasingly difficult by scheduling conflicts, creating emergencies that required Lisa's immediate attention, and expressing displeasure whenever she spent time with me rather than focusing on their household responsibilities and social commitments. The situation became more complicated when Lisa and Marcus had their first child, Emma, in 2020. I was thrilled to become a grandfather and looked forward to being involved in Emma's life and sharing with her the cultural traditions and family stories that connected her to her heritage. But Marcus strictly controlled my access to Emma, insisting that all visits be scheduled in advance and that he be present during any interactions between Lisa, Emma, and me. He seemed determined to ensure that my influence over Emma would be minimal and that she would be raised according to his preferences rather than with significant input from her maternal grandfather. When their second child, David, was born in 2022, Marcus's control over Lisa's family relationships became even more restrictive and manipulative. He began making explicit comments about how my presence in their children's lives was confusing and potentially harmful, suggesting that exposure to multiple cultural influences would make them less successful in American society. Marcus also started making financial decisions that increased Lisa's dependency on his income and reduced her ability to maintain financial independence. He convinced her to quit her job to become a full-time mother, which eliminated her personal income and made her completely reliant on his salary for financial security. This financial dependency became a powerful tool that Marcus used to control Lisa's decisions about family relationships, career choices, and social activities. He could threaten to withhold financial support or to pursue divorce and custody battles that would leave Lisa with limited resources to maintain her lifestyle or care for their children. The final confrontation came in August 2023, when Marcus discovered that Lisa had been visiting me regularly without his knowledge, and that she had been allowing the children to spend time with me despite his objections. He was furious that Lisa had been maintaining family relationships that he considered inappropriate and threatening to his authority. Marcus gave Lisa an ultimatum that was designed to force her to choose between her marriage and her relationship with me. He told her that he would not tolerate any further contact between our family, and that continuing to see me would result in divorce proceedings and a custody battle that would separate her from their children. The ultimatum was calculated and manipulative, exploiting Lisa's love for her children and her financial vulnerability to force her into compliance with Marcus's demands. He knew that Lisa could not afford to support herself and the children without his income, and he used this economic reality as leverage to control her family relationships. Marcus also threatened to move out of state with the children if Lisa chose to maintain contact with me, which would have made it impossible for her to see her children regularly even if she obtained partial custody through divorce proceedings. This threat exploited her maternal instincts and her fear of being separated from Emma and David. Lisa was faced with an impossible choice between maintaining her relationship with a father who had raised her with love and sacrifice, and protecting her marriage and her ability to remain close to her children. The ultimatum was designed to have only one possible outcome, given Lisa's financial situation and maternal responsibilities. When Lisa came to tell me about Marcus's ultimatum, she was crying and clearly devastated by the position she had been put in. She explained that she loved me and valued our relationship, but that she couldn't risk losing her children or her financial security by defying Marcus's demands. Lisa asked me to understand that her choice to end our relationship wasn't a reflection of her feelings toward me, but rather a necessary sacrifice to protect her children and maintain the stability of their household. She begged me to forgive her for choosing Marcus over me, claiming that she had no other option given the circumstances. The conversation was heartbreaking and final. Lisa made it clear that she could not have any further contact with me, including phone calls, text messages, or visits, because Marcus would be monitoring her communications and activities to ensure compliance with his ultimatum. The loss of Lisa and my grandchildren was devastating and complete. Not only had I lost my only child and my connection to the next generation of our family, but I had also been forced to accept that love and family loyalty were not strong enough to overcome financial dependency and the fear of losing children. The isolation that followed was profound and painful. I had built my entire life around family relationships and the hope of sharing my cultural heritage and life experiences with Lisa and her children. Without them, my daily life felt empty and purposeless. I struggled with depression and anger about Marcus's manipulation and control over Lisa's decisions. The knowledge that my daughter was being held hostage by financial dependency and threats against her children was almost unbearable, but there was nothing I could do to change the situation. For months, I lived in complete isolation from the family that had given my life meaning and purpose. I would see other grandparents with their grandchildren and feel a deep sense of loss and grief about the relationship that had been stolen from me through Marcus's calculated cruelty. I tried to focus on maintaining the restaurant business that Maylin and I had built together, but even work felt hollow and meaningless without the hope of sharing its success with Lisa and her children. Everything I had worked for felt pointless if it couldn't benefit the people I love most. But something unexpected happened 10 months after Marcus's ultimatum that would provide hope for eventually rebuilding my relationship with Lisa and my grandchildren. Dr. Patricia Kim, a family therapist who specialized in domestic control and manipulation cases, contacted me after hearing about my situation through mutual acquaintances in the Taiwanese American community. Dr. Kim explained that Marcus's behavior represented a classic pattern of domestic control that involved isolating victims from their support systems, creating financial dependency, and using children as leverage to maintain power over their partners. She had worked with many families that had been destroyed by similar manipulation tactics. More importantly, Dr. Kim told me that Lisa had reached out to her through a domestic violence resource center, indicating that she was beginning to recognize the controlling nature of her marriage and was seeking help to understand her options for protecting herself and her children. Dr. Kim asked if I would be willing to participate in safety planning and therapeutic processes that could help Lisa when she was ready to seek independence from Marcus's control. She explained that having family support available would be crucial for Lisa's ability to escape the manipulation and rebuild her autonomy. Working with Dr. Kim gave me hope that Lisa might eventually find the strength to break free from Marcus's control, and that we might be able to rebuild our relationship based on mutual support and love rather than fear and financial coercion. The process has been slow and careful, with Dr. Kim helping Lisa develop strategies for protecting herself and her children, while gradually building the resources and support systems she would need to establish independence from Marcus's financial and emotional control. While I haven't had direct contact with Lisa yet, Dr. Kim has provided updates about her progress toward recognizing the abusive nature of her marriage and developing plans for creating a safer and more autonomous life for herself and her children. Dr. Kim has also connected me with other family members who have experienced similar situations, providing a support network of people who understand the unique pain of losing family relationships through domestic control and manipulation. Today, more than a year after Marcus forced Lisa to choose between her marriage and her relationship with me, I remain hopeful that she will eventually find the strength to reclaim her autonomy and rebuild our family connections based on love rather than fear. The experience has taught me about the insidious nature of domestic control and the ways that financial dependency can be used as a weapon against people who want to maintain independence and family relationships. It has also shown me that recovery and healing are possible when victims have access to professional support and family members who understand the complexity of escaping abusive situations. Most importantly, I've learned that true love sometimes requires patience and faith that people we care about will eventually find their way back to relationships based on mutual respect and authentic connection rather than fear and control. That's my story. How my controlling son-in-law forced my daughter to choose between her marriage and her relationship with me, and how professional intervention is helping her recognize that love shouldn't require cutting off family support. Sometimes the people we love most become prisoners of those who claim to protect them, but sometimes hope and professional guidance can light the path back to freedom and authentic family relationships.